Good afternoon, everyone. I had some technical issues this morning and it destroyed half of the video. Even though I recorded it all, the audio didn't get recorded. So that was very frustrating. So welcome to the second part of the video. And I'm just going to focus in on one very important story, just because I think it's important and we got to talk about it, or we should talk about it for the broader context of continuing the stories that I'm trying to tell. So the fires that are happening in Canada and across the world, really at this point in time, seem to be driven by something that is not climate change, but something else entirely. And a whole bunch of the information coming out in Maui and across Canada at this point in time as well is tainted or is managed in ways that are unexpected and crazy. Here, just to start us off, is CTV and how they're reporting the NASA mapping and the data, how it's being displayed to the public. And I think that it's quite interesting because they're trying to use the terminology and the visuals to manipulate people. And part of that is a map that shows fire all across Canada. Like if you looked at BC, you'd think that BC was all on fire, the Yukon, all the rest of it, everywhere. The center, I guess, of Canada, so Manitoba, Saskatchewan is not so bad. But back in Ontario, it's a little sparser in Ontario, but it doesn't really give you a good idea of where's actually on fire. The icons look like a candle flame and it's everywhere. It's just everywhere. And this is done by, it's called FIRMS US Canada is Fire Information for Resource Management Systems. So this is on the 11th, and I think that the fire is notated on the 11th here by the red coloring on the map. And then on this side, the red is notated again now on the 12th by the candle flame icons. There's still red icons there, but the candle flame icon is there, and there's no real map or anything to that effect to show the difference between the red and the candle flame icon. Here's inversionism, and they say, can someone explain this to me? The FIRMS US Canada map for tracking wildfires seems to show limited fires on August 10th and 11th, and then on the 12th, the fires pop up everywhere. Is this map bugging, or did they all really start on the same day? First image is August 11th, image 2 is the 13th. Weird. Very crazy. And it really does not give you any kind of impact on the reality of what's going on. If you were to look at this and be a layperson, you would think that most of Canada is on fire. Majority of Canada, from Quebec to the Gulf of Alaska, right, to the Yukon, all of Canada is aflame because of how this looks. The food professor is dipping his toe into right-wing extremism and climate denial by sharing a picture from 2003. Maybe not. The food professor says Kelowna 2003 left. It's got the same picture, people on the beach watching the flames across the bay, I suppose, or the river or whatever it is. And then 2023, same picture, same beach, same image, same everything. Bruce Arthur says, is the food professor dipping a toe into being the subtle climate change or the subtle climate denial professor? Unbelievable. Struggle session, right? Struggle session. If you show people that fires in Canada have happened before, you are now a climate denier, according to Bruce Arthur. Just unbelievable stuff happening. Catherine McKenna weighs in on this as well. Just talked to a friend and he told me that his house in Kelowna burned down. It's devastating to think what people are going through in Kelowna, Yellowknife, and in communities across Canada with wildfires threatening their lives and livelihoods. We all need to wake up to the climate emergency, she says. I think BC has had a carbon tax since 2008. Why don't we have rapid fire responses? Why don't we have rapid fire teams? Why don't we have forest management? Why aren't we spending the money on making sure that the human-caused impact or the human-caused contributors to climate change, no, not climate change, to like forest fires, wildfires, forestry management, all that kind of stuff. Why aren't we looking and making sure that climate change money is put in place to mitigate whatever all this is? If you believe that climate is changing and that the mitigation factors or that you would need mitigation factors because obviously all of these wildfires were going to be a problem, then wouldn't you put money into that? Wouldn't you develop the team before the emergency? If you had money from 2008, where's the planning going into BC? Why aren't they using that money to protect the citizens? Why are they using this as something that is proof positive that we need a federal carbon tax? It's wild. It doesn't make rational sense. If you apply logic, the logic fails. Kirk says, Kelowna fires started on a Tuesday and water bombers didn't start working until Thursday. when the fire was out of control? Why was it not attacked with full force when it was under an acre? Fires around Kelowna are nothing new. Why don't we have these boats that can stream 600 feet away and 20 stories high? Great question. Wonderful question. I would love to know why we don't have any kind of infrastructure around this, despite the fact that we've been collecting carbon taxes since at least 2008 in BC. Okanagan Fire Scanner says, during the last couple of days, firefighter equipment has been stolen on the Scotch Creek Bridge and throughout the Shuswap area fires. We've had our equipment stolen 3 times off of the South Creek Bridge, and that's the way in and out of that community. So that's not great. CTV News is reporting arson, wildfire on Spain's popular tourist island of Tenerife, was started deliberately, officials say. So it's climate change until it's arson. And if it's arson, we're not talking about that because it's climate change and you have to believe it's climate change. It's really important because if you don't believe it's climate change, then they can't charge you the extra taxes to mitigate it. And by mitigating it, they just mean they'll stop the arson. Stephen Gelbo is responding to Catherine McKenna, Christine, I don't know where Christine came from. Catherine McKenna's tweet, she says, Pierre Poilievre cancels his anti-carbon pricing rally because of wildfires fueled by climate change. Is it fueled by climate change? Is the climate change in liquid form, Christine? You can't make this up. Just remember when it comes time to vote. And so Gelbo says, Poilievre's climate plan in a nutshell. The plan for the Liberals is to put these incendiary devices, and here is a magnifying glass attached to just a stake in the ground, and it is aiming a beam of a laser beam, a sun-created laser beam with intense sun rays to dry hay. And when the sun comes overhead and it gets just right, it will ignite this material. It's pretty scary stuff, man. It's pretty scary stuff what's going on. Here's Laura Lynn. She was caught up in this as well. She says, update from friends. So many lost their homes. My neighbors just up the road lost probably 30 cabins. Ours has been spared, but it's not over. What an experience. An update on further damage. Much of the bank burned. Golf course oddly survived. Gas stations gone. Scotch Creek was devastated, and the fire is moving up the valleys now, Turtle Valley and Sorrento. So just unbelievable stuff happening. And if we had carbon taxes, you'd think that they would have mitigated this, right? You'd think that they would have used money to mitigate this kind of stuff. I want to talk quickly about the Maui fires. Here is an interview. It's something I've been talking about a little bit anyway, because what's going on with the Maui fires is pretty wild. And a lot of children are missing. And here's a news broadcast, CBS Face the Nation with the governor of Hawaii. And here's the question talking about kids. Here we go.
That is hard to hear, Governor. I know a local Maui official said a large number of the dead may have actually been children who were left home that day because schools were closed, many of them alone or with their grandparents. Is that the case?
That is possible. That's what we're sharing here internally. That is possible that there will be many children. This is the largest catastrophe and disaster that's ever hit Maui. Probably it's ever hit Hawaii outside of wartime events. So we just thank everyone in the world for reaching out and supporting us through all of the.
See the pivot? Is it true that most of the missing currently are children? Yes, that's possible. That's what we're talking internally about. But thanks so much for being worried about Hawaii and your support and all that other stuff. What? How could that possibly happen? Nobody had any kind of inclination to tell anybody. They're also suppressing this. I think it's funny. This guy thinks that this is their first rodeo. 9/11 was probably not their first rodeo either, but they're trying to silence any kind of reporting on this period. And so it's Instagram silencing. And here's a firsthand account of being silenced when you're trying to spread information that is factual and real. Here we go.
Guys, this is probably one of the most important videos that I'm going to do. I'm going to prove 500,000 views is being suppressed, and I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to show you exactly what they're doing, and the reason that they're doing is absolutely crazy. So me and Spirit here, we have a message for you. This is so important that you guys help us. So look at this. Look at that. That is actually my feed now. They are like just, they're hiding the thumbnail. That's step one. So they've also done this. Check this out. What does it say? There's now an alert. So if you look at the alert, it is now saying that we're providing false information. What is the false information? Let's go check that out. So it is saying that the false information is that the military presence was here. It's not just me saying the million. What a disgrace to the kids that died in cars, to the people that weren't allowed to evacuate, to all the terror and all the death. This is absolutely insane that you would say that. And it's not just me. Take a look at this.
For some of us,
and that's a very famous guy. He's one of the biggest surfers in the world, one of the most well-known water people around Hawaii. He's talking about how there's no support, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no support. It seems like it's coordinated. They didn't ring the bell. They didn't sound the alarm, the siren. They didn't have water able to. There was no fire engines to fight the fire. There was no water to fight the fire. There was no anything to tell anybody to move. It seems like a complete disaster, and it seems like it's coordinated. And then after the disaster, there was no help, and people had to do it on their own, and they're being blocked when they want to help. And I feel like this is the modus operandi. This is how they're going to try and take control. Maui is going to be what happens to everyone, right? Like they take your house, they take your ability to have a home base, and then they say, we'll help you. But then they don't actually help you. And man, I hope I'm wrong about all this. Anyway, that's enough out of me. I wish I could do the whole show. Sorry that I screwed it up. I'm an idiot some days, but tried to fix it. And this is what's going on. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.